An unseemly row has broken out between the BJP and the opposition over who should inaugurate the new Parliament House. I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo story. The new Parliament House, set to be signalling the arrival of an Atmanirbhar Bharat and shunning old symbols of colonialism, is all set to be inaugurated this weekend. But now an ugly battle has erupted between the BJP and the opposition. The opposition, led by the Congress, says that it should be the President of India, President Murmu, who actually inaugurates the new house. The BJP is accusing the Congress of cheap politics. The Prime Minister himself is scheduled to inaugurate the new Parliament House, that too on the birth anniversary of Veer Savarkar. The choice of date too has been objected to by sections of the opposition, who have, of course, emphasized more on the fact that the Prime Minister both laid the foundation stone for Parliament House as well as will now be opening it officially. The BJP is pointing to instances in the past where it argues the Congress has done pretty much the same. At the heart of the debate, of course, is also the question of who actually is the head of the two houses of Parliament. Joining us on the program today are politicians as well as historians. Let's introduce our guests one by one. First up is Vineeta Hariharan. Vineeta, can we bring her into the screen? There is joining us as a spokesperson of the BJP. Good to see you again, Vineeta. Also joining us on the program is Professor Ruchika Sharma. She's a historian with a very interesting video series of her own, as well as for us here at the Mojo Story. So do look up her videos if you haven't already. Also joining us is Rahul Easwar, a self-confessed supporter of the Prime Minister, who often comes in with surprise critiques of the government's response. How will he see this debate? We'll find out in a moment from now. And also joining us from the Congress is Meeta Chakrabarti, the spokesperson and leader of the Congress. Also, Mallikarjun Kharge, the president of the Congress party, who has led this criticism, has also brought caste into the conversation. He says the BJP earlier ignored President Kovind when the National War Memorial was open, and now is ignoring President Murmu. Adding one additional layer of dissent to this debate, he has referenced SC/ST politics when it comes to President Murmu not inaugurating the new Parliament House. So before we get started with your comments, let's listen to what Mallikarjun Kharge had to say.
प्रधानमंत्री खुद करते हैं, ये राष्ट्रपति करना चाहिए। पहले फाउंडेशन करते वक्त भी वो उस वक्त के जो शेड्यूल कास्ट समाज से आए थे, दलित समाज से, उनको फाउंडेशन पे नहीं बुलाया। इस वक्त इस इनॉग्रेशन को भी वो शेड्यूल कास्ट मुर्मा जी है और ये बोलते हैं हम शेड्यूल कास्ट शेड्यूल ट्राइब्स को इतना महत्व दिया। अरे जिस जगह महत्व देना है, उनकी गरिमा बढ़ाना है, उस जगह तुम उनको देते नहीं और बात के लिए, अपने वोटों के लिए ये बात कहकर दूर हो जाते।
So let me start with you, Meeta Chakrabarti. Why are Dalit politics being brought into this? Of course, Mr. Kharge is a Dalit leader. He's the president of the Congress party. But he is emphasizing the president's Adivasi background when he makes that comment. Why? I mean, surely you don't think that that's why she hasn't been called. Once again, referencing previous presidents' caste status as well. This is where people who may think you have a point might begin to say, okay, you're seeing everything unnecessarily through the prism of caste. Meeta? Can we unmute Meeta, please? Meeta, you're muted at your end. You've got to unmute yourself. Yeah, go ahead.
I think I have muted myself. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
okay.
We can. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening to all your viewers. And I don't think that necessarily we need to look at this through the prism of caste. Having said that, politics is a lot about optics as well. And this was an opportune moment for the government of the day to actually stand by what they claim that they believe in, that is the upliftment of people from backward caste. Because as I said, that this would have been a good representation. Having said that, I want to come back to the basic argument. If you look at Article 79 of the Constitution, and I'll read it out for you, it says that there shall be a parliament for the union which shall consist of the president and the two houses to be known respectively as the Council of States, that is the Rajya Sabha, and the House of the People, that is the Lok Sabha. Now, elaborating on this point, the parliament, which is the temple of democracy, is not a place only for the elected government of the day, but it is equally a place for the opposition leaders and members who have been elected and sent to the parliament. Parliament is a place for debate, discussion, dissent, and a place where different political and socio-political point of views can be accommodated. However, this government stays away from this consultative approach, and a person who is clearly the first citizen of the nation, which is the president of the nation, who should have been given an opportunity to inaugurate such a structure, which is meant not only for the government of the day. We know that the prime minister is heading the government of the day, but the prime minister is not head of the nation. So parliament, when it is clearly meant for elected representatives belonging to different political formation, such a structure, it would have been a good gesture and a correct gesture to let the president of the nation inaugurate it. And a much larger point that we do not see these days, if you look at the UPA time, you will see that most of the bills, there would have been a debate, discussion, about 60 to 70% bills used to be sent to scrutiny teams. The scrutiny team will have representatives not only from the government of the day, but also from opposition members. But right now, if you look during the Modi Sarkar in the past 9 years, about 25% bills have been sent to scrutiny team. So we also see a further decline in bills that are sent up for public consultation. So there is a larger point that we are trying to make, that a parliament should be more inclusive, which we do not see these days, and it would definitely have been the right gesture had we asked the head of the nation, the president, given the opportunity to inaugurate such a structure.
Okay, let me bring in Vineeta Hariharan. Of course, the BJP Meeta has been quoting examples from the past, and we actually did a little bit of research. They've been talking about how Indira Gandhi at one point, was leading the ceremony without the president. But then we did some research and we found the president, V.V. Giri, in that case had actually laid the foundation stone of the Parliament House Annex. So there was a gap of a few years, before Indira Gandhi would come a few years later and actually inaugurate the Parliament House Annex, 5 years to be precise. So both sides, both parties are selectively quoting, in a way, facts here. There was a 5-year gap between these two incidents taking place. Then there was, of course, the incident of the Parliament Library building, where Rajiv Gandhi laid the foundation stone. This is, of course, now being invoked by BJP leaders. But subsequently, of course, we had President Narayanan, who was then involved in 2002. So in every case that is being cited, the president has been involved, but with a gap of a few years. And you'll see that coming up in your next slide. Go ahead, Vineeta. Even if, let's say, the Congress has made the same mistake in the past, should the BJP be making it? The criticism is that Mr. Modi is personifying himself onto a house that actually belongs to everybody, including the opposition. Vineeta, you're on mute.
Yeah, we were asked not to control the mic. So yeah, so in fact, so I think this is a proud moment in the history of India, where after 100 odd years we are getting a new parliament building, and it's such an iconic structure, and it's a proud moment for all parliamentarians across political parties. So I think we should celebrate this moment, and it's a great moment in independent India. And instead of raking up such issues of who should inaugurate the parliament, see, in all its due right, it was PM Modi's project, is what the Congress also called it, PM Modi's pet project, and they kept criticizing it on that count. And now they go a bold-face and say, why should the PM inaugurate this project? So I think they should find issues that matter to the nation when they should behave like a responsible opposition. And this is a parliament which has had a record history of clearance of bills, and the pace at which the government has been functioning over the last 10 years is indisputable. So I don't think we should rake up such puerile issues, and I wouldn't say it's puerile, but it's not an issue which is to be raised at such a historic and iconic moment in our history, where we are getting a absolutely swank new building, and the architecture is beyond words, and the way the building has been designed. And let us look at those positive aspects of the building and how it's going to actually set a kind of a pattern and a pride in the hearts of our parliamentarians going forward. So let's look at those positive aspects of this the building. And when the president herself has consented, and she has actually welcomed the prime minister And so when she does not have an issue, I don't know why the Congress has
Yeah.
to have an issue over this. And I don't think it should be made, national news. And the kind of the thing that we're projecting to the world outside is also not good.
Yeah, I think that you make a fair point there. That and I'll put that to Meeta in a moment. That the Congress has been so critical about the entire project itself that now, when it's ready for unveiling, is the Congress being conveniently critical at this point? Meeta, just hold that thought. Let me bring in Rahul and Ruchika, and I'll come back to you with that. Rahul, yes, it should have been a moment. Parliament, the institution, the state, India, the state, as opposed to government and BJP, Congress, and any other party, should be bigger than individual squabbles. And yet we are seeing this moment too, besieged by, as I said, a new parliament house and all the same old battles.
Barkhaji, two submissions. First, on a lighter note, even the Afghan parliament was inaugurated by our Indian PM Modi ji. So it would be unfair to say that Indian parliament should not be inaugurated by him. But second, as we all know, beyond either the quoting articles or beyond any justifications, we all know that Modi ji thinks about posterity in a big way, and Modi ji would like to be in that particular moment in the big thing. And Modi ji has that particular habit. That's characteristics of all mass leaders. And Modi ji,
Hmm.
after perhaps Narendra Modi, after perhaps Mahatma Gandhi and Indira Gandhi, is one of the largest mass leaders that India has seen. So he would like to be in that particular moment. You can argue definitely saying that the president should have been there, but at the same point of time, Modi ji choosing to do that is definitely a choice. He want to be associated with it for a long time, and perhaps even in the next century, he would like to be remembered for that epic shift, especially from his own language, moving away from the Lutyens, Delhi, and the Khan market. He inaugurated something that really showcases India's pride. Is one message Modi ji would like to resonate across centuries. I mean, we all know that is the thinking behind this. There is no meaning hiding behind anything. But two more submissions. One, it's unfortunate to bring caste here, because we all know nobody in their right mind will ever think that it is a point of caste, because BJP,
Yeah.
especially RSS, has been working overtime for a Hindu unity, and they have been integrating backward communities in a bigger way. So that is not a question of caste. And second, also regarding Veera Savarkar, see, you may disagree with Veera Savarkar ji in so many things, including him saying that Nepal kings and the Hindu kings should unite, and such kind of posturings, hard Hindutva posturings, you may disagree. But he nearly spent 4,000 days in jail for this land. So we should be remembering him. I don't think it's only coinciding. It need not be particularly kept for the Veera Savarkar birthday. But if it is coinciding, well and good, and we need not deem him. I think Congress should be more gracious, more accepting, and more be in the occasion rather than play the spoil sport.
Okay. Should the BJP also be doing something? Should the BJP also be the larger person, as they say, when a fight happens? Our parents used to say, "You be the larger person."
I mean, of course, the bigger brother has more responsibilities. If they can also bring in, reach out, that would be great. Extending the olive branch, just like Modi ji
Yeah.
did for people like Ghulam Nabi Azad. See, always it's a great occasion. It's a bipartisan occasion. The core point is it's a great moment for India. So reach out, build consensus, bring everyone together. It would be very sad for Indian democracy if somebody is boycotting that. Even so, it is responsibility of BJP too to bring Congress on board. I think that responsibility should lie with Modi ji and BJP, because they are the ruling party. Reach out to them, bring them on board. Otherwise, it will be a very sad day.
Yeah, I think that's well said by you, and I hope the BJP does decide to do that, because after some of the ugliest battles, rhetorically, I mean, between the Prime Minister and Mr. Kharge, we've also seen extraordinary images of them sharing a huge laugh inside Central Hall. So, we've all seen those images as well. Ruchika, before I come to the politics, the history of it, and there are two layers of history. There is the sort of anti-colonial pushback. This is being hailed as an Atmanirbhar Bharat movement, and there is the Savarkar politics, and that may not have been by design, or it may have. We don't actually know about that, but that is the coincidence, as it were. The greater emphasis has been on the sort of the new India that is stepping out of the shadows of British history, British colonialism, shadows of the empire. How do you see this movement and the argument around it?
Well, I think what is being created, and you've been showing these visuals of the PM along with these very refurbished, beautiful photos of the new project which is going to be inaugurated soon. I think there is a narrative, a historical narrative, which is being created and essentially being changed. When Lutyens Delhi was first created, it was created fusing two very different styles. The burgeoning style was, of course, the Mughal style, which is why you had a lot of these domes and you had a lot of these jalis and you had a lot of these chhatris. We have it on authority with people like Barker, Herbert Barker, and Edward Lutyens making notes of the fact that, this is the kind of architecture that we want to emulate because there is a legacy that they want to sort of form, starting from the Mughals and then going to the British, who have heralded modern India. I think there is a concerted effort by the new government to sort of break that, especially because of the fact that there is, reminiscent of Mughal India in that architecture. The dome, the new architecture completely removes that idea. There is no dome, there's no chhatri. What we see, and the person who's designed it, a person called Bimal Patel, said that he's taken it from the sacred yantra, and this is why the whole parliament is triangular. So I think there is a hearkening to history, not just on the fact that the architecture is so deliberately chosen to represent the kind of history that the party in power really wants to focus on. There is also this idea of, from the modern perspective, also picking and choosing their heroes. So, which is why V.D. Savarkar becomes very important. This is also the day when Nehru's funeral was there. So there is a, the coincidence of both these important events, both of which are very important for the party in power. The fact that there is Savarkar. You might want to question why Savarkar. There are many other leaders who are equally important, who probably have a bigger contribution to the Constituent Assembly, to the Constitution, rather than Savarkar. There is a huge question mark to his idea of freedom anyway. But, and coming back to the whole Dalit aspect of it, many people don't know that one of the 15 female members of the Constituent Assembly, a woman called Dakshayani Veluthan, who was the first female Dalit member to join the Constituent Assembly, her birthday is next month. And, nobody sort of seems to keep that in mind when you are inaugurating. And the government had a great opportunity. They have this
Yeah,
the
that's a
government
very
had a great
important
opportunity,
point.
and
Sorry, I
I'll
don't mean
finish
to
with that.
interrupt you. No, I wasn't interrupting you. I just wanted to follow up that President Murmu has not been invited because, that's the only thing I take objection to, that to bring in the suggestion of car. I take your point that this was an opportunity to showcase, to celebrate, sort of the Dalit members of the Constituent Assembly. But that doesn't mean the president wasn't called because of caste. That's all I was saying. But Ruchika, go ahead, complete your point.
Could be, but also just the fact that, I think there is a missed opportunity over here. Considering the government has a Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao policy, it would be great to sort of, for once, keep a woman Constituent Assembly member at the forefront and, sort of inaugurate the whole parliament for her name. But clearly, there is a historical narrative, and Savarkar is therefore, the choice for it. The last point that I want to sort of stress on is that the entire photo ops, the fact that the prime minister is going to lay the foundation stone and also, inaugurate the parliament, reeks of this whole empire system, where a king would sort of have his whole architecture built, which would sort of convey his imperial vision. The architecture would be deliberately chosen to convey the kind of idea that he has in
But
his fiction. And
Indira
then
Gandhi did it
accordingly,
too. Indira Gandhi did it too. It's just that 5 years earlier, the president had laid the foundation stone, but Indira Gandhi did it too. That's the point that's important
absolutely.
remembering from history.
Absolutely. I'm not saying that this has not happened before, which is why the whole idea that, there is a hearkening to history. So there is this idea of, creating an empire, wherein the idea is that, okay, this is the architecture of the empire, and the person who's leading the empire is therefore the person who's going to do the photo ops, who's going to lay the foundation stone, and who's therefore also going to
Okay.
inaugurate the
So,
parliament, is how I
so
see it as a historian.
so lots of little nuggets there from how the architecture itself changing, losing the dome is also a somewhat of a political statement, a conscious choice, to basically talking about more recent examples or contemporary examples of how modern India was actually birthed and whether the government missed an opportunity. To Meeta, I will ask this. Are you actually considering a boycott? Do you think that is a productive way to make your voice heard in this debate?
Well, I'm not in a position to reveal that at this stage. I think the senior leadership will take a call. Coming back to your earlier query, you asked that we criticized the project when the project was underway. Let me answer that. We criticized it in two counts. A, the expenses that were incurred in the project that were very, very high. And secondly, the timing of this project being executed. It was being executed during the COVID time when people were gasping for oxygen. And we thought that a better way of spending these funds would have been on medical infrastructure, to boost up the medical infrastructure, to provide the people the required facilities, because there was a lot of stress on the medical infrastructure during the COVID years. So it was the timing and the expenses that we objected for. And I think as a principal opposition party, we were well within our rights to do so. That's number one. Number two, when we talk about the inauguration, I completely agree with my co-panelists who just spoke that this is a missed opportunity. This would have been a good time. A sarkar that talks about Beti Bachao and Beti Parao, but only they talk about it. We all know what is happening to the wrestlers who are protesting now. They do not really walk the talk. So when it came to showing a person who is a president, who is the first citizen of the nation, who is a woman, who is from the backward caste, when it came to the optics, when it came to giving her the position where she could have inaugurated the structure, the prime minister who believes in event management, who believes in being the center of attraction all the time, chose to do it himself. So that is what our objection is all about at this stage. Remember, as I said in Article 79, the Constitution says that Parliament is for the President and the two houses.
And how do you respond
the
to
Constitution
and
says
how do you
that,
and how do you
yeah,
respond to the examples, sorry, that are being cited by the BJP about Mrs. Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi? There's a video
yes.
that we could find on Doordarshan today where it was Mr. Gandhi alone, not present with anybody, laying the foundation stone
That was a
of the.
library. That was a library, and I
I
think
know,
there is a
I know,
difference.
I
There's a
know. I'm
difference
just.
between library of a parliament and an entire parliament structure being inaugurated. And as you correctly pointed out, even for the annex, though that it was not the parliament being inaugurated, please bear in mind that there is a difference. Even there, the stone laying was done by the president, and the annex was inaugurated by the prime minister of the day. So there, and first of all, there has been participation by the president, and secondly, there is a difference between inauguration of a library of a parliament and
Okay.
inauguration of the entire new parliament building.
Okay, let me bring in Vineeta. Vineeta, what will the government do? Will you reach out? Should you reach out, as Rahul Easwar suggests? Because when the dust is settled, this is India's parliament, and this parliament will be the parliament for all parties, irrespective of which side of the ideological trenches you are. This is a symbol of our democracy. This transcends the present competitive politics or political argument that is taking place. What will you do to make this moment more inclusive?
No, absolutely, Barkha. So I'm sorry I lost the connection last time. So, but as a leader of the parliament, the prime minister will definitely ensure, and the entire office of the PMO and the entire government of India machinery would be operational to invite all concerned, all relevant stakeholders, and especially all parliamentarians. Of course, that would be the prime responsibility of the machinery. So there is no doubt about that. But then the opposition also has a responsibility to behave as a responsible opposition and not rake up such controversies at such an iconic moment in independent India. And about the budget of the the building, which is around 800 and odd crores, 900 crores. If you look at the Nehru Samadhi, which is the valuation today is around 1 lakh and odd crores. So let's not talk of budgets for memorials and budgets for such historic buildings, which is the Parliament of India, which is going to go down in history. Since 1927, we have not had a new Parliament building, and this was something which the Congress had actually raked up. Had raised the need for a new Parliament building in 2012, and it was Jairam Ramesh and the Cabinet Secretary then that we have records of them saying that this building is there's discrepancy, and there is it's a heritage building and it's not safe to even sit in the parliament. That's the kind of architectural hazard that the building was, undergoing. And that's when the Prime Minister in record time has constructed this new Parliament building. And we should all kudos to him. And I think no other person is eligible to inaugurate the Parliament building than the PM Modi himself, under whose leadership we have had this Parliament building, this historic building, in record time. So I think there is no dispute over who should launch it. And about the president, we have all respect for the president. It was, the fact that we have a tribal representation as a president itself speaks volumes about the current dispensation. And as far as Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao, we have seen the kind of work that our party has done over the last 10 years. And I don't think there is any dispute about that. And this is not the occasion to rake up those issues. And also about the COVID times, I think.
I just do want to say, this is beyond BJP Congress politics, that it's upsetting. I'm saying this, that it is upsetting to me to think of these Olympic champions on the streets, literally a stone's throw away from Parliament, old or new, talking about sexual harassment and abuse. It is disturbing, and I hope that we take a moment to look at that irony as well. But do go ahead and complete your point.
No, so absolutely. So what I was trying to say is the COVID assistance that this government has given is again historic, and is not only just in India but also in neighboring countries. The kind of assistance that we have given, and the Atmanirbhar packages, and it was lakhs and crores of the budget that was given out during COVID times, and how we have come out of COVID. So I think there's no need to repeat those stories again. But since it was raked up by the Congress spokesperson, so I need to also respond to that statement. So I don't think this Parliament building inauguration should actually be a point where you rake up all your historical the points that you have against the BJP. So I don't think, like Barkha, I agree with you, we should not politicize this national movement.
So my question to Rahul is, everybody knows that this is very much Mr. Modi and the Modi government's pet project. What would the government have lost to make President Murmu? In fact, they would have only gained. In fact, people would have only said that, and we put it to our viewers, this is by no means representative of all of India, but can we please have that graphic up again? Who should inaugurate the new Parliament building? So far, we've had... Can I please have that graphic up? So far, we've had 1.2 thousand votes, and 77%, as you could see on your screen, or you will be able to see in just a moment, says it's the president, and 23% say Prime Minister Modi. So when you ask the people of India, should the president lead the inauguration, I think a lot of people would say yes, because it's the symbol of India. The president is the titular head of the state, of the Indian state. Go ahead, Rahul. I think we'll have that poll up soon. Yeah.
Yes. Barkhaji, two submissions. One on a fact. I think the cost, according to media reports, it overshot by 29%, and the cost is around 1,250 crores, is what I understand from the media reports. And I don't think that's a bigger problem, because we gave nearly 950 crores for building the Afghan parliament. So, if we can give 950 crores for Afghanistan, we can definitely have 1,250 crores for India. That's not a problem. I think the opposition is definitely, they have a dislike towards Modi ji in many senses. So they would like to do that. So they would like to always say, another person is better. But, we all know that Modi ji is the man of the match of the entire BJP machinery. He is the, say, in one sense, a Sachin Tendulkar earlier, or the Virat Kohli of his team, where he is the champion, he is the vote catcher, he is the machinery around which the entire ecosystem is built. So naturally, Modi ji will be the choice of that person. The many people who are opting for the president are not doing it out of the love for tribals or a woman or a president, but they rather want somebody other than Modi ji, nothing else. But I think it is incumbent, as an admirer of Modi ji, I think it is incumbent and responsible upon Modi ji, and especially Modi ji, to reach out in any possible way. Of course, he has a huge leverage, cutting across party lines. So he should make sure that it is a bipartisan movement. And I hope Modi ji will be able to win over opposition in a positive way, because that is not opposition's thing. If we can compare it with the elder brother and the younger brother, it is always incumbent upon the elder brother to take along the younger brother in the house. Similarly, the sanctum sanctorum of Indian democracy, or the Sri Kovil, or the temple of Indian democracy, where our lives will be decided, where your and mine, our lives will be decided, should be bipartisan. And I hope Modi ji will definitely win over. In a matter of day or two, he will reach out to opposition, bring someone, build a consensus.
I think if the president and the prime minister had jointly opened Parliament House, it would have been a moment that Indians across sort of partisan affiliations would have welcomed or would have had to welcome, and certainly our poll is not decisive. You can argue about, who or which political slant it's picking up. The numbers are still being computed, but an overwhelming number of viewers on this platform so far, with a little over 1,500 votes polled right now, are suggesting that the president, if it has to be one person, let it be the president. Ruchika, I want to go back to history. If we can go to Professor Ruchika Sharma now. What does this symbolize, this moment? In this moment of this new Parliament House, what does it say to you as a historian?
I would think it's a creation of a history. Certainly, there's no doubt about this. This is a historic event. There is no underscoring that. What is interesting is the kind of history that is being created, starting from how grand the project is, as one of the panelists pointed out, the cost, when it started. Was there, for example, an inclusivity when these decisions were being taken as to what is going to be the architecture of the building? How much, do we want to change? Considering, and no matter the fact that this is a heritage which is created by the colonial masters, this has been our history as well for, a significant amount of time. So if you are, in a sense, changing a part of history, everybody is then a stakeholder. So was there an inclusivity followed then when these major decisions were being taken to revamp the entire institution, which we have so for long associated with our democracy, with our constitution, so on and so forth? The second also is the fact that I think there is also the creation of the idea of, this being a larger than life event. While I, again, don't want to underscore how historic an event it is, and, I'm sure as a nation we must rejoice the fact that there is a new parliament. It is clearly being created as a larger than life event, as if, creation of a parliament isn't something that has happened before. And I think that also goes into the aspect of creating history. Whenever you have to create history, you have to market it as, a larger than life event. Otherwise, it's just another event in history and won't register much. So I think the idea, therefore, is to create it as an event which is very larger than life. There is a symbolic value to it. We have significantly changed the architecture. It's very visible what kind of architecture we've followed and what kind of architecture we've rejected. The date is also significant. We have a hero set. So I think this is a creation of a new kind of history, which has always been the project of the government, let's be honest, starting with altering textbooks to creating a parliament like this. There has always been an idea of the current government to create a sense of history which they believe is their narrative, which is not the kind of narrative that has, for them, been the narrative which has been peddled so far. They think there is a different sort of a leftist sort of a narrative, or
they're countering a narrative that they think was political earlier. And so the politics, of course, goes on. But I would like to say that the bottom line for me as an Indian is that this is Parliament. It is a symbol of the Indian state. It transcends all political parties. This is a symbol of our democracy, of our freedom, of our rights as citizens. And I do hope that in the end, it becomes a participatory event that includes more and more voices. And that is what I think should be its essential spirit. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Ruchika, Vineeta, to Meeta, and to Rahul, and to our audience. Thanks as ever for watching. See you tomorrow. We started Mojo right here in this basement. Just 4 people, 4. And now we're about to hit our first 1 million subscribers. So this is to say thank you to all of you for your support, for your respect, and for your encouragement. We've always gone to where the story is. During the pandemic, when television's big anchors were hunkered down in their studios or at their homes, we hit the road. We traveled from Delhi to Kerala, covering 30,000 kilometers in a small car, reporting from inside ICUs and inside slum tenements. Whether it's flash floods or war zones, we've always put our boots on the ground. In fact, we're just back from Punjab, tailing the Khalistani fugitive Amritpal Singh. And through all of this, we have always put you, the people, first. In an age of partisan polarized media where most journalists are either chamcha ya morcha, we believe the story is sacred and the truth of the story is what matters. And now as we get ready for the next step, we need your help. Become a Mojo member and get first access to all our big interviews. Get a chance to ask our newsmakers questions. Get a chance to write and report for us for both our website and our channels. And also, interact with me and my colleagues directly through AMA sessions. Literally, ask me anything. Click on the join now right next to the subscribe button, and yes, also subscribe if you haven't yet, and become a Mojo member for just 159 rupees a month. Hope to see lots of you in our community. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.